Hi everyone, Amy here, and I'm so excited to share the new April release with you from A Colorful Life Designs, so let's jump right in. Now, if you order stencils from this fabulous small woman-owned business in Texas, then you'll receive an adorable pink package like that with this manila folder. And inside your stencils, some of them may have cellophane packaging and some may not. The reason being is she does try and cut down on plastic waste. So if there's little extra pieces, then it'll be in a cellophane package. Otherwise, it'll just come in that folder. Now, this first stencil is called Row of Houses, and it's one of many house-themed stencils in this release. This is called Closer. It's a 3x6, and this one is called Beginnings, also 3x6. So this is a fun way to apply a sentiment to your design without having to stamp if you don't want to. This is called Layered Houses, so I'm really excited to play with those, so watch for future videos on that. This is called Shaped Ball, and you can see this is not a square shape, it's the actual shape of the ball. Same thing here with the dot spokes. And this one does come with the little inner piece, so that's why it's in the cellophane here. You'll see I'm struggling with the cellophane to get it in and out. But it does have that little inner portion, which does give you some versatility in your design. So that's a super fun one. I can't wait to play with these. And then this next one up is going to be, after I'm done struggle bus with this cellophane, I think I end up just giving up on it. Yep, just set it aside. This is Mid-Century Geometric. This might be my favorite from the release. I absolutely love this. All the mid-century ones that she carries in the shop, I just love. This is called Dot Band. So again, I'm going to be working with all these stencils throughout the month, so be sure to watch for more videos on these. And if you hit the bell, if you're subscribed to my channel, then you'll be notified anytime I post new content. Now, these are all graduation themed, and as you can see, I'm very excited. I don't have a lot of graduation stuff in my crafty stash, so I was really excited when she came up with this because y'all know I love stencils, and this is just such a fun way to create these cards. So this first one that I'm showing is called Happy Caps. This one that I'm pulling out is called Graduation Gown, and as you can see, it has a positive and negative space. Now, I'm just showing you some of these stencils, but I will finish some completed cards here for you, so stick around. This is called Grad Hands, so it's got the inner and outer portions here, again a 6x6. And then this next one is Girl Graduate, Boy Graduate, and Graduate Row. So I'm super excited to play with these. You'll see I do end up working with them all on A2 size card bases, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But these 3x6 are awesome because you could absolutely use them on a bigger card like a 5x7 or even a slim line, which would be really nice if you're sending a check or graduation cash. But you'll see the cards that I make are all going to be A2 size just because that's my preference. Now here I'm showing you a couple panels of pattern paper that I cut down from A2 size with that stitched rectangle die. And you can see how they kind of size up on an A2 size card base. There's a nice little white border. Now here's a couple pictures of two of the cards that I'm going to make for you today. Now these are using pattern paper and some other elements, but I will show you some other options. So you can use up that pattern paper that you've been hoarding in your stash, or I'll show you some ideas to kind of create your own pattern paper or your own background for these type of cards. So if you're in the market for some graduation cards, then definitely check out this release. And the stencils that I showed you also are not the complete release. These are only some of them. So if you expand and scroll down below the video, I will put links to the products that I used and to the shop so you can check out the rest of the release. And I do have a coupon code, AmyFan10. If you shop, you'll save 10% on your complete order. So be sure to check that out and save yourself some loot. So here I'm just using some black soot ink, and I'm just using a little blending foam. And I'm kind of coming in with the Girl Graduate 3x6 stencil, and I'm just going right on that kind of subtle, beautiful pattern paper here. Now you'll see that I end up doing this two different ways to get the same result. So I know that I want to heat emboss on this, so I'm going to clean off the stencil and dry it off really good before I put it back on and apply some sticky clear embossing ink. But as you'll see, I actually found an easier way to do it on the next card. So on this one, I didn't worry about drying up the ink because I knew I was going to lay the stencil back over it, but I did use my embossing tool here from the Rabbit Hole Designs because I only wanted that embossing powder to stick where I wanted it. Now I laid this clean and dried stencil back over where I had ink blended, and then I'm basically just going to squish down this Versamark ink right through the stencil just to kind of activate that area again and make it sticky because I want to apply that icicle clear embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. So I'm just going to remove the tape and the stencil carefully and then put this pattern paper over some scratch paper here and then just apply this clear embossing powder right over. And you'll see it sticks just where I wanted it to all over the graduate girl here. And I'm going to come in with a nice and hot heating tool here. I have my Wow embossing gun. It's a dual heat, and I'll link that below if you're interested in that as well. But I get it nice and hot before I bring it to the paper, just because this is a relatively thin pattern paper and I know there's going to be some warping. So I'm just going to melt that clear embossing powder, and then it gives it kind of a cool shiny look, which adds a little something unexpected to the card base, or the card panel rather. So here I'm going to do the same thing again with the boy graduate, but you'll see I decided to try and see if it works without doing all those extra steps. So I'm doing the same thing with the black soot, and I'm really just pouncing that ink in there, and I'm sure it's pretty saturated, and I'm guessing it's probably still wet, but I wasn't sure, but I wanted to try. So this ended up saving me a lot of time. You can see I skipped all the embossing ink and all that and actually just dumped the clear embossing powder right over it. So you can certainly go that extra step. It may have put a little bit more powder down if you compare the two, but honestly it wasn't enough of a difference to warrant the extra steps and the time that it took. So this is certainly an option if you really, kind of move relatively quickly. You can probably get that embossing powder to stick right on your die ink. Now here I'm shopping my sentiment book because I know I have some die cuts here that are going to work for these cards today, because I have a bunch of different congrats with various different holographic cardstocks and things like that I know I want to use. So I'm just going to pull out a bunch. I have this awesome Grad. This is a die from Simon Says Stamp. So I'm just kind of pulling out what I think I might want to use, and I'll finish off the cards and show them all completed to you at the end. So I'm just kind of playing around with different options. I also have my simple strips from Tailored Expressions. Now these are stamps, dies, and also the storage boxes. You can get that all directly from Tailored Expressions. So I'm pulling out Look at You Being Awesome, I'm So Proud of You, and then I remember in this other set here there's a Congrats Grad, so I knew that would be perfect. So again, just pulling out a bunch of different pieces, parts here, and I do have the card panels attached directly to the card base. Now here's some other options I'm going to show you. There's a couple more ways you can use pattern paper. I thought it would be fun to use maybe a brighter pattern paper, maybe in the color, the school colors of your graduate. So this is a fun way to think about different ways to use maybe their school's colors. And I have this polka dot pattern paper and then also that red one, and I use the same rectangle stitched edge dies just to cut them down. So I'm using kind of minimal supplies here, using what I have with these pattern papers, and I'm sure you guys have the pattern papers too. And same thing here, just gonna ink blend with the, actually I switched from black soot. I wanted it to be a little bit darker because I knew I wasn't going to be doing the embossing element on these, so I wanted it to be a little bit more rich in color. So I changed the blending foam and actually switched to this pigment ink. This is VersaFine Clair Nocturne, and so it's just a little bit deeper dark black. Now here's a fun option if you don't want to use pattern paper but you want to use your colored cardstock and some of your other stencils. So I'm going to use a couple other new stencils from this release, this awesome mid-century geometric, and I'm imagining, a green card. Now the school in our area has, green and white as their school colors, so this one will probably end up getting used for someone in my area. But I'm just using that graduation gown and kind of kicking that off to the side here, and again coming in with that pigment ink. And guys, I'm struggle bus here. You can see I don't know what my deal was, if I was just coming at it too harsh, but I shifted it twice here. Oh, so frustrated. So I gave up, created another panel, and then stopped being lazy and just used my pixie spray, and then all was right with the world. So I'm just coming back in here again with that pigment ink, in blending. And I am cutting out pieces of this, guys, because I don't want this video to be too long for you. But you can see here, this is a fun way to create your own pattern paper and use your other stencils. Same thing here. I have a light blue cardstock, and I'm going to come in with a darker blue ink, and then use this awesome new shaped ball stencil from the release, just to kind of add some interest to the background and kind of create my own background or my own faux pattern paper. So this is really a fun way to use up that colored cardstock or the pattern paper and create some super simple, quick and easy graduation cards. So I'm just going to remove this here and show you this interesting design that it created. And then here I have that horizontal orientation because I know I want to use just the cap from this. This is the Grad hands, but I'm not going to use the hands, so I'll mask that off, as well as the other areas that I don't want ink to get on the panel. And same thing, using that blending foam and the dark black pigment ink and just kind of pouncing that rich pigment ink down onto the card panel. And these are very simple, pretty flat designs. They should be easy to ship. Here's the finished cards here. You can see that awesome shiny feature that you'll get with the clear embossing, and then this nice finished stitched edge die here. But you can see it's very flat. I just glued everything down. There's not really any dimension on this one, other than maybe a little bit raised from the sentiment. Here, same thing. So congrats, look at you being awesome. And again, it's got that little bit of shine from the embossing powder. So celebrating with you today. So I just carried on the inside of the card with another simple strip. Now here's one of the pattern paper ones. So with the polka dots and just very simple design. I did use little thin foam strips to pop up some of these sentiments, and I will link those below. They're kind of like the Doris ones, but a little bit lower profile, and I get them off Amazon. Now here's another congratulations one with some, this is a very subtle red pattern paper. So maybe use ones that aren't too busy, unless it works with your design, you know, you do you, but I found the ones that weren't super busy worked really well. Now here's one that I created my own backgrounds with this Grad caps. I think it's what it's called. Yeah. No, Grad hands, and I just used the cap portion. And then this one I think is my favorite. I just love the color and how it turned out with the composition. So let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. And let me know, do you have a lot of graduation cards that you need to make this year? So be sure to check out the rest of the release. Like I said, it'll be linked below the video. If you expand the video description box and scroll down, you'll find all the details there with links and my coupon and all that good stuff. So thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye.